Welcome to Season 5 of Swiss Impact with Banerjee. I'm Sveta.
And I am Ben. The topic of Season 5 is impactful investments. How can you make a difference with your capital?
Our guests, who are managing impact investment funds, business owners, thought leaders, will empower you to invest with impact.
In this season, we will showcase various impact investment funds who are contributing to SDGs, better known as Sustainable Development Goals as defined by the United Nations.
There is no excuse. Shift your capital to create positive change in our world. Your children will be happier, you will feel fulfilled, and make money.
We will broadcast every Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Central European Time, here on Swiss Impact with Banerjee. You get more when you give back.
So always invest with impact.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening to everyone.
Welcome to Season 5, Episode 1. We've been away for some weeks now, and this is why I'm really happy to continue to broadcast about impact investing, impactful businesses, and this season will be specifically dedicated to those. So impactful funds and how are they creating huge positive impact on our planet and, of course, on the environment and people's lives.
And special thanks to those members of our audience who have been investing in and have been supporting our businesses and funds who are being presented on the TV. So please keep watching our program and share it with your friends and family who are interested to learn or invest into our amazing and by far the fastest growing sector of impact and sustainable investments.
And you can watch us by now everywhere on any social media, on listen to us on podcasts like Spotify, and of course subscribe on YouTube channel youtube.com/Swiss Impact. And Ben, let's keep the tradition alive with your story. We start with a very good story, and I hope it will be positive.
Well, as you know, we were gone for some time and lots happened in the meantime. So we experienced firsthand the global effects. By going to Delhi, we felt the warming, immense simmering heat of summer, but we also saw the damage to the coral reefs while diving in the Maldives. When we were diving between gorgeous sharks, turtles, fishes, and everything. So today I want to speak of two most important events, what happened in the last couple of weeks. One is a bit negative and one is positive. So which one do you want to hear first?
Again, the hard choice I need to make. Okay, let's start with the negative so that we can continue with positive when I introduce our guest.
Okay, so I'll start with the negative first. So what happened is that few days ago, I was speaking to our colleague Petri Tellas, who is the General Secretary of the WMO, World Meteorological Organization, a specialized agency of the United Nations whose mandate covers climate, weather, and water resources. They came out with a report of last year, which is quite worrying. So short summary, not only is carbon dioxide, but methane and nitrogen oxide, which are all greenhouse gases, emissions are ever increasing. Second, added to that, the rainfall and soil moistures. So serious signs of negative changes leading to quite a disastrous impact on agriculture countries like India and Pakistan. And worst is that the rise of the CO2 emission and most of these gas emissions is highest in Asia. Secondly, there's no way it seems now we know and our leaders know that we can keep the 1.5 degrees centigrade. So we are heading directly towards 3 degrees centigrade plus rise of temperature.
Directly.
Yes.
Highway to the 3 degrees.
Which will cause major loss of the world food security worldwide, even in countries like US, where unfortunately many Republican leaders think that climate change is a Chinese propaganda. And thirdly, the sea level globally is rising faster than calculated earlier, with its own consequences for coastal cities and island countries like Maldives, which we
Mhm.
visited. So to make it worse, all these changes are irreversible, despite of what many politicians in the West are propagating or believing in.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much for this news, which we need to know anyway, right? To act in order to take the right action. So I think now, anyway, it's time for positive news.
Okay. So recently we had the G7 meetings here.
Remind our audience who are the G7.
So G7 are the seven biggest economies. So that's United Kingdom, US, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, France, and since recently the European Union also sits
Right.
there.
And what was the positive news?
So they committed, all seven of them committed to take to phase out greenhouse gases from their energy sector by 2035.
That sounds good, but is it not just a headline?
Unfortunately, till now, it's a headline. So let's watch and see. Because this has been mentioned or committed by the environmental ministers. But the devil is in the details, especially because it has to be ratified by the respective governments. And then comes the implementation steps. But that's a topic for another TV program.
I guess so. So now it's time to welcome our first guest of season 5, Mr. Joshua Campbell. Please join us today. Hi, Josh. How are you? Where are
Hello.
you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? How are you, Ben and Sveta, today?
Oh,
All great. Thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Where are you right now?
We are in Dallas, Texas, the United States.
Hmm.
Okay, quite far away from us. So, Josh, I want to introduce you first to our audience because not everyone yet knows you, right? So, Joshua Campbell, you are the CEO and founder of the company Bridgeway Solutions. You have in the past also run startups, right? You are
Mhm.
an experienced C level executive with an extensive background in operations, IT, telecom, management, and business development areas. You also possess a very unique background and skill set. We will learn a bit later about that in detail. You successfully implemented the network infrastructure for a retail electric provider, which billed out over 15 million per month. And also, you assisted with the expansion plans and roadmap for entering the new markets. And eventually, the company was sold for 350 million US dollars. Wow, that's impressive track record. So welcome, Josh, and we are looking forward, and of course, our audience to to learn from your experience and what's your company Bridgeway is doing good for our planet.
Well, thank you first for having us. We're certainly very, very excited for this opportunity. We're excited to share our story. We're excited to share what impact we've already had. And we're excited to share what we can do together to have an even more impact on our planet. As you've already mentioned, the CO2 and carbon levels are rising. And so it's a challenge wherever we are on this planet, not just here in the US, but globally. And it's something that we are ready to take head on.
Exactly, and that is the impressive part that they are also doing it because I have been reading their company. So, Joshua, what made you pursue such a unique career path? I mean, operations, then IT, then telecom, management, business development.
That's a great question. And I'd have to say it really started with my father. My father was an entrepreneur most of my life. He got out of business not too long ago, but seeing my father in my high school years and things of that nature start businesses. So it was at a very young age I knew that you needed a well-rounded perspective on business in order to run one. It's nice and it's good to have an idea and try to bring that to market. But to really understand how operations, how technology and telecom, how business development how all of those critical parts of a company, how they work together in synergy. Everybody's on the same team. Everybody's pushing towards the same goals. And so it's nice to have that hands-on experience in building those teams and, making sure that the culture is correct so that we can all be successful in what our goals are. When it comes to management, I really look at management as more leadership. Anybody will follow a title because they have to. If I'm your boss, I'm going to do what you say because, if I don't, then there's a possibility I might get fired, right? And so for me, I look at, leading and management more from a leadership perspective. It's a great relationship, from the executive suite on down. And so those are the different components that I wanted to make sure that I had a good foundational understanding before I really took on and executed my first real opportunity.
Okay, and what was then the most important lesson that you have learned in life during all this journey?
Well, I love this question. It's a great one. And quite honestly, we all have different life lessons, right? We've all learned different things growing and maturing, from middle school to high school to college and then into marriage and then when your career begins to grow and you grow up into the corporate ladder. So I believe that, first of all, I'm always constantly learning. But I believe our perspective changes as we grow and mature and develop. For example, mistakes that I might have made in my early 20s, if you look at that, 90, 120 days out, you're going to have a certain perspective. But if I look at that same challenge 5-10 years ago, after that, then your perspective is going to be a little bit different. So we're always constantly learning. And I also believe that list is prioritized for each of us, right? And it's a constantly changing list. Certain things are more important for us at different times in our life. Right now, I think I've got two real unique life experiences and life lessons that I've learned that I carry forward with me right now. I would say first is relationships. You just never know that person you mentored or that person you worked with on a particular project. You don't know if that person is going to be the next CEO of the company that you're trying to work with. So having good character, good integrity with your relationships, making sure it's a great two-way street is important. And then last but not least would be, where there's a will, there's a way. As I mentioned before, my father started his own company when I was in middle school and had it for quite some time. And, we're talking about, a minority with a third grade education. And so I know that if there's a will, you can make things happen. And it's really up to the individual to be successful.
Why did you call yourself minority?
Oh, so my parents are both Hispanic. My grandparents actually both speak nothing but Spanish. So as my parents didn't teach me growing up, but for example, my father, his first language is Spanish.
Okay.
And so I was, surrounded, when I went to visit a lot of family, my grandparents, things like that, it was all Spanish speaking.
Because your name is very, very English. Campbell.
It is actually, I believe, and forgive me, I don't recall. It's the background on my name, I believe, is Scottish or Irish background. So, but I'm not sure where or when that happened in our lineage. And but yeah, we all speak Spanish. My grandparents' parents, I believe, came over from Mexico and entered into the United States.
Okay.
That-
I mean, my idea of Texan is that you guys are all cowboys and having drilling oil. But then you came up with this amazing idea of Bridgeway solutions. So how did you come up with this idea?
You know, Bridgeway Solutions, first and foremost, is a conservation and sustainable company. We love bringing impact to carbon reduction, but we're not just an installation company. We're also an educational company. We take pride in showing our clients things that they didn't know. They didn't understand or how our technology works. They don't understand that just their small little effort helps create that ripple in what we're all trying to accomplish. And so you have to understand, just here in the US in 2021, we consumed just commercially, this isn't actually, we consumed about 1.3 billion megawatts of electricity alone. Globally, you're looking at 161 billion megawatts annually from a global perspective. And going green is a lot like trying to eat more healthy. If you try to eat organically, those types of foods, they cost money. And so for us, we understand that that's why clients out there and companies out there have a hard time. Everybody is starting to come around to the concept of being eco-friendly and reducing the carbon footprint. The challenge out in the market is that it's a pretty big commitment financially for your company to do that. So we give them an avenue in which they can make those changes, create that impact, and have the solutions pay for themselves. And so when you take all of that together, our executive team, we all have a background in energy, whether it's from a retail electric provider, whether it's energy brokering and those types of things. And so it was a collective effort of how do we address the elephant in the room at a very, this was back in the early 2000s is when a lot of Texans got involved in electricity because of the deregulation here. And so it was a collective effort of how do we address that elephant in the room that we know is going to be a challenge, and how do we address that and make it easy for the customer to get on board with those thoughts and those ideas.
Josh, but let me intervene here. So basically what you are saying is that you can transform any corporate to net zero CO2 emissions. Is it correct?
Yes, that's absolutely
And
correct.
if yes, then how does your service works?
Good. I'm glad you asked that question. So what we do from a very, very high level, we'll get into the details more here momentarily, but what we do from an extremely high level is we go out and we gather a little bit of information from our clients in step one. And from that information, we are able to predict what our simple technologies and simple solutions, what kind of impact they will have. So very early on in our process, you will know whether or not that particular client is a good customer for us. From there, we create the indicative analysis. It shows all the numbers, how much you're going to save financially, what that looks like, a payment schedule for our service agreement, and then how long that service agreement is going to last. The second step is we'll go on site and do a facility assessment. That means we're sending engineers on site. They're going to do a complete building envelope discovery, if you will. From that point, we go and create our service agreement and begin installation and deployment of those solutions. Now, Bridgeway, we pay for all of that upfront for the customer. So there's no
really it's for zero cost.
Absolutely. And that's one of our biggest questions is how do you guys do that? So we pay for all the solutions. all of the technologies, all of the motor controls, all of the LEDs, all of the water solutions. We purchase all of that. We install, we project manage the installation, and we gather a certificate of completion for each location. And then within 10 to 15 days, we began to build that particular client. So it's a great way for our clients to have an impact on our planet, because it is collectively our planet. And they're able to go and then boast about what kind of impact they're having.
Could you describe your client more specific way? So what's your market and what kind of customers exactly you have?
And I want to add, with the rising petroleum costs, I think everybody wants to be his customers.
That's right. That's right. Electricity is going up. Costs all around is going up.
Yeah.
So if I can bring to you solutions, I can upgrade your infrastructure. I can, from an LED perspective, just kind of as an example, I can make your environment safer from outside lighting from an LED perspective, which then turns around and has an impact on your business, because now your customers feel safer in the evening time to go and shop at your location. And it doesn't cost you anything. And the savings that we produce, if it pays for all of that, then why would you not do it?
Yeah.
So to answer your question as far as our market and who we look for, I would say first and foremost, we're really looking at any client. You know, there isn't necessarily a particular industry or line of business that we look at more favorably than others. Really anybody who has a high consumption of electricity, water, natural gas, heating oils, where we can provide efficiency, that's going to be our client. Primarily, we focus on medium to large commercial, industrial municipalities. So that's like cities and school districts and things of that nature. We've got a wide range of customer types. So grocery stores, we've done school districts, we've done fast food, we've done houses of worship, we've done resort, we've done convenience stores, and we've also done a couple of prison facilities. We've also we've during this time of COVID, we'll go into that as well. There are different types of other industries that we've gone out and audited, and so for us, anybody that has large consumption is what we want to look at first and foremost. We want to get those large consumers of electricity and water and natural gas. We want to hit those guys first, because that's going to have a huge impact immediately.
And are you looking at industry at a time or a full? For example, you know that one of our partners is the religious organizations, and the Methodist Church, for example, has a lot of churches in America. So are you aiming for one church at a time as an example, or are you aiming for all the churches you can do at the same time?
Yeah, so when it comes to those types of organizations, absolutely we can do multiple locations. If you look at it from a franchise standpoint, for example, a franchise owner might own 10 or 20 McDonald's. We do all of those. We combine all of those locations into one project, one service agreement, and attack it, from that holistic standpoint, rather than just one location at a time.
And how long does it take from this efficiency analysis that you mentioned to the services agreement, and then the transformation itself, that you can install everything and then the clients start benefiting from the savings?
Yeah, so we don't have a typical time frame of how long it takes. because there's a couple of different variables that we can't control from a company. So a couple of examples would be initially we gather in step one, the energy analysis, there's information that we gather from the customer. So it depends on how quickly the customer gets that information for us. It depends. One of the things that we have signed early on is called a letter of agency. That it's an LOA. So depending on how quickly the incumbent utility provider responds. So we go out and we say, hey, utility company, we need historical usage data so that we can create a baseline of usage for our client. We need that information. And in states that are deregulated, they're more used to providing that information. In states and areas where they're not deregulated, they're not used to providing. And so it takes a little bit of extra time. And then probably the other big impact from a timing standpoint would be the on-site facility assessment. How quickly can the potential client give us access to their facilities? And what does that look like? So, for example, when you go and you do an assessment on a prison, well, you have people that are assigned to you while you're walking around looking at the lights and looking at their facility. A fast food restaurant obviously is much quicker. So there's a couple of different variables in that process that have an impact on how quickly we can go from step one to the service agreement and start. We can get that done in 45 days. So if you've got somebody highly motivated, ready to move, ready to go, then the process is much shorter. But I would say on average, probably somewhere between 60 and 90 days.
Okay, that's very good, I would say. And by the way, prisons have been inspiration for social sector since long time. The first social impact bond was also invented for prisons.
Yeah, I know. I was talking about it today. So,
But Josh, can you tell us a bit more about zero cost, to really convince the audience that it's not too good to be true? How is that possible? Could you explain in detail?
Sure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our 3-step process, and then and how that fits into the zero cost, because that'll kind of tell you exactly what we do, how we do it, and then the service agreement, which is how we recoup our investment into the community, and then which obviously we make a little bit of profit on, which allows us to move on to the next customer.
Awesome.
So for us, I'm sorry.
Awesome. Tell us more. We are all yours, all the attention.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, we start off with the free analysis. That analysis consists of a couple of different data points. So we gather bill copy from the customer for each of their locations. So most recent bill copy for water, electricity, natural gas. We need that information. There's information on there that we pull, and we understand these bills can be complex. These utilities didn't make it easy when they developed their bills and invoicing and things like that. So we are experts at reading those bills and finding out what your true cost is, for example, per kilowatt hour or per therm or per gallon. So we take that information, we know what your cost is, and then we also go and use the LOA, as I mentioned earlier, to pull HUD. That allows us to create a baseline for what you have done over the past 12, 18, 24 months when it comes to consumption. Last but not least, we gather a business questionnaire, and we're really able to fit this into our conversation. Have you done any upgrades? Do you know what kind of energy conservation measures you put into your facilities? Those types of things. How, from a hotel perspective, for example, what's your occupancy look like? What's your average occupancy rate? So we take all of that information and we are able to determine through what we call an indicative analysis whether or not this is a good project. Can we create enough savings through reducing your consumption in order for there to be a good project here? Can that savings sustain all of the solutions that we would like to put into your company? Because again, we don't want this project to cost our customers one penny. We don't want it to cost upfront in the implementation, and we don't want it to cost them one penny when it comes to paying off the service agreement in for the term. All of that information, we create our indicative analysis, and then we move into the facility assessment. So while the customers may say, hey, we've not, for example, replaced any lights with LED lights. Now we go on site and we verify all of that information. How many washers and dryers do they have? How many rooftop AC units do they have?
How many people are coming to analyze all that for a prison?
It's a single person for the most part, which depending on the size of how many locations will depend on how many engineers we send out on site. We don't like our facility assessments to take longer than 1 week. So if it's going to take longer, then we'll assign more resources to be able to do that. But as you know, and as you just mentioned, yes, it's a big undertaking, because not only are we looking at those type of infrastructure things, we're also looking and doing a building envelope assessment as well. We're discovering, are there places in the windows that are broken? Are there holes in the roof or on the floor in certain locations? Did this facility add on, a whole new section to their location? And if they did, how do we help in assisting them in doing that in the most efficient manner? So we gather all of that information, we bring it into our software platform, and from there, we're able to generate hard cost. What's it going to cost? What solutions are we going to implement? So the great thing about our solutions is we do not have to sell. We're not in partnership with any one provider. So we're hardware agnostic. So I can go and pull all kinds of different solutions from all kinds of different partners that we have. I don't have to sell a certain quantity from any one partner. So for us, we like that because it gives us the ability to be as creative as possible. So for example, let's say on top of a hotel, there's several AC units that aren't working. Well, when an AC unit isn't working properly, it will typically use 2 to 3 times the amount of electricity that it normally would. So assuming that those types of things will fit into the savings that we need it to, we'll replace things like that. So our solutions, there's no cookie cutter approach to how we design our custom solutions for each of our clients. So we gather all of that information and we put it into a service agreement. So we know if you're going to save, and this is just one example, if you're going to, we project that you're going to save 25% on your usage, and that equals to, $22,000 a month. Our service agreement with them will be, okay, well, we're going to take $17,000 of that particular savings. So so again, number one, now not only are they not coming out of pocket, we're creating enough savings to where that service agreement payment on a monthly basis will cover the cost for the term. And oh, by the way, I really love sharing this part because we don't take into account all of the different variables that our customers are going to see savings. So this particular example that I'm sharing with you is a school district here in the state of Texas. Well, we told them 22, 25% savings, and they are achieving closer to 40% savings in reduction of their usage. So from a financial standpoint, that means that they're saving on average, instead of the $22,000 a month, they're saving on average $35,000 to $36,000 a month. And
So
that,
basically, with this money that you are taking, you are able to pay all the facilities that you are bringing to the client, or how it works on your side.
right. So here's how that particular part works. So from all of the information we have gathered for each of our clients, we can now tell how much are the solutions, how much is the installation, all of our costs, the cost of engineering, and all those costs go in. And now we know what we have to work with from a financial standpoint. What do we need to create in savings that will cover that cost?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, that particular school district here in Texas, school districts are a little different for us, but they've got, I think, 6 or 7 different locations, from high schools to middle schools to elementary to administration buildings. And so that payment covers the entire project. So, the service agreement payment is what covers our cost, allows us to recoup our costs, and then obviously make some profit so that we can continue with the next client.
So I just wanted to ask, so looking at it more like on a layman's basis, so just layman, standard people.
Okay.
So for example, you come and check our house. So
Uh-huh.
our house is like, it's a 300-year-old house. So you will come and see that, okay, you will say, Ben, your electricity, your heating, everything, we can improve on it. But then you find out that the isolation of the house is also 300 years old. So you say, okay, Ben, because you can decrease the price of heating, but you are still losing too much heat. So your isolation has to be changed. And while looking at the isolation, you say, oh God, Ben, your windows have to be changed because your windows are also single layer. They should be. So till which layer are you going? Are you just fixing yourself to the heating, electricity, and water? Or are you also looking at all the other indirect impacts?
Yeah, a great question, Ben. We're absolutely, when we do our facility assessment, we're absolutely looking at the building envelope. So it's not, when we go into a project, we know that there's more opportunity than just saying, okay, we know LEDs are easy to do, check. We know that going out and putting motor controls and things of that nature on rooftop AC units and chillers and things of that nature, that's easy, check. We're going by and we're just counting and taking pictures so that we know exactly what technologies we need to install there. So those types of items are very, very easy. It's a matter of, being accurate, getting good data. The secondary look that we take into each facility is exactly what you're talking about, Ben, is, we're losing AC through windows. What can we do there? Can we replace those? Do we simply put tint on those windows, or do we need to install a different type of solution? Same thing with the roof. This building is not properly insulated, for example. Without insulation, you're losing X amount of cooling and heating, especially here in Texas, right? You're losing, X amount of heating and cooling because there's no insulation. So absolutely, we take a look at the complete building envelope to see what other areas can we address that will help save consumption for that particular client.
Well, that's amazing that you don't abandon such desperate houses and old buildings.
No, for us, in all honesty, for us, the older a building, the better.
Okay. And then I would because I just thought you are quite a small company. You are but
How big is your team, Josh? We didn't hear that yet.
No, and that's great. And you know, it's something that as a part of our discussion, we want to expand upon our team. But our currently right now we're at about 6 or 7 people. And that's critical. Let me tell you why that's critical, because when we get to the point where I can tell you the impact that we've had from a carbon reduction standpoint, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to know that 6 people have been able to have that kind of impact. So, you know, a big reason why we're here today is to address, you know, how do we expand? How do we have an even greater impact? If we can have the impact that we have today with just 6 people, imagine if we had 20 or 30 or 40 people
around the world, in every country.
That's absolutely correct. Absolutely.
And before we go to the next part, I wanted to, what is this Bridgeway guarantee which you offer to your clients?
Yes. So that is, and I love talking about this. The Bridgeway guarantee is something that we stand behind as a company. So when we tell you, hey, we're going to save you 25%, you're going to see a 25% reduction in your consumption. That is something that we stand behind. We guarantee that reduction. So a lot of science, a lot of research, a lot of facts and determining what solutions to install go into that guarantee. So when I tell you about our clients that are overachieving what we tell them, what we guarantee, that's by design. We always want to under promise and over deliver. So when we go in and to date, we've done several projects. We've done close to 10 different projects with, I think it's over 30 locations. And none of we've not missed the mark on any, which for us is great.
But just my question, did you ever had that you didn't deliver the guarantee that you promised? And what then happens to the installation, client payments, and so on?
Right. So first of all, no, we've never missed the guaranteed mark. So we're conservative, and we're conservative for a reason, because we guarantee it. Now, what does that mean? What does that guarantee mean? So that guarantee means that, let's say we're off, we missed it. So we're going to come on site and we're going to do another analysis of the locations. We'll be able to tell which location missed it, maybe all of them, maybe it was just one. We're going to come on site, we're going to make determinations. Hey, did they install new hardware that they didn't tell us about? Maybe they installed some new huge equipment that wasn't there when we did the initial facility assessment. If that's the case, then we go back to the client and say, hey, well, you added this particular piece of equipment. It's using an additional 10% of electricity. So, there's got to be an adjustment. And so that's the easy part, right? Let's say we just missed it. Our numbers were just off. We woke up on the wrong side of the bed and we missed our numbers. Again, we always start with another facility assessment. But let's make the assumption that we missed it. So we will go in and recalculate the savings based on actual data. So one of the reasons why we get that letter of agency is because we also provide a quarterly report to all of our clients. That quarterly report shows the initial baseline. It shows what we've guaranteed from a reduction in consumption, and then it shows actual consumption.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to know before the client knows whether or not we've missed the mark. So going back a little bit, if we had missed the mark and we had missed our guaranteed number, then we would reassess the savings based on that actual client data and then adjust the payments accordingly.
Okay.
Okay,
That
we
makes sense.
got it.
Yeah.
Thanks. We got the guarantee topic. That's amazing.
Yes.
I'm becoming more and more fan of what you're doing.
Yeah, it really is a win-win solution. It really, really is. We're going to guarantee, because again, I always go back to, we want these solutions to pay for themselves.
Yep.
And that's our guarantee. That's what we stand behind. That minimum number that we tell you, that's where we get behind and say, look, we know it's not going to be any less than this. And if it ends up being more than that and it's our fault, then we absolutely would adjust those numbers accordingly.
Okay. And which SDGs are you, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, are you addressing? And what can you give us some example of some numbers of impact you have had so far?
Absolutely. So the numbers from an impact standpoint, I'll give to you in way of carbon reduction and things of that nature. But I'm going to give you some specifics here, and then tell you what we're working towards, future, which we believe will be very easy for us to achieve. So first, we start off with good health and well-being. We believe that we're building and working towards a planet that allows for good health and well-being. The way things, if we don't make any changes right now, there's going to come a time where our kids won't be able to go outside and breathe fresh, non-polluted air. And so that's what we are working for, and we believe we're already having an impact there. Secondly, we believe in quality education. As I mentioned before, not only do we take pride in educating our clients, but the school districts that we work with, there's several reports and several studies when it comes to just simple things such as LED lighting. The tremendous impact that LED lighting has for students is phenomenal. You're going to see a 35% improvement in reading speed. You're going to see errors reduced by 45% because they're able to concentrate better. And you're going to see
have that at the universities. Otherwise, it would be much better.
Yes. And so, and last but not least, when it comes to that, you're going to see a 76% reduction in hyperactivity. So these are things that we know just from the simple step of putting LED lights in classrooms, that kind of impact is being felt. When it comes to clean water and sanitation, again, we have water solutions in place that conserve our planet's water supplies. So we believe we're already addressing that. Affordable and clean energy, I mean, that's what we do. That's who we are. Yeah. Sustainable communities. And for us, those are the easy ones, the goals. Those are the easy ones for us to address and for us to know right now we're already checking those boxes off. However, our future possibilities, and as we grow this opportunity and expand here, not just in the US, but globally, we believe we're going to be able to address several others, such as industry innovation, infrastructure, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And finally, I'm a little, I feel like we kind of address this one, but I'll feel better over the next 6, 12, 18 months. And that's going to be decent work and economic growth. Right now, we've got a great team in place. We've got a fantastic culture. And we are already have clients that are already seeing the financial impact of what we do from an economic standpoint. One of our clients is a fast food chain, and they were able to pay for a new point of sale system that they had to implement. They were able to pay for that out of the savings that we created. So those are the sustainability and development goals that we feel very comfortable and confident about.
Wow.
Amazing, amazing. And beside US, in which other countries are you operating now, or in which countries do you plan to extend?
He's not in US. He's in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's right. So right now, as things currently stand, we can provide direct sales to any country. So for the solutions, the technologies, those types of things, we can provide direct sales right now. We actually have done a project out in Puerto Rico, and we are in the final steps of closing a deal out in Mexico. Obviously, both of those are Mexico's our neighbor, but from a eco bridge standpoint, from the zero cost standpoint, we're currently only doing that here in the U.S. Now, what we are looking forward to doing, and one of the things that we're happy to be on that makes this show attractive for us is, in the future, we absolutely plan on expanding globally. This isn't something that is just here for the United States, for Texas. So we don't look at this from, hey, this is just ours.
Exactly. How do we bring it to Europe?
Right. So we are looking for the right partners. We're looking for the right partnerships. There's an investment side to this business. Excuse me. So we're looking for the right partners, installation partners, and things of that nature that can help bring us into Europe. I know Asia is a big area that we want to go into. India is another big area that we want to get into. We've got some connections into India, but nothing, that I'm 100% confident about just yet. So, but absolutely, we want to expand globally for sure.
Oh, perfect. Because we already thought about, we have already a similar kind of company in Mexico, but only it's B2C. So I think that
they
would
come to your house, right? Not
so they would be an ideal partner for you, and they already want to be. So you have something called Channel Partner Program. What is that?
Great. So our Channel Partner Program, that is it's part of our sales effort. It's part of our marketing strategies. We use channel partners because it gives them an opportunity to make a very, very warm introduction into our sales department. So it's individuals that have a great business Rolodex that they can just make phone calls and say, hey, Ben, this is Josh. I have a great opportunity. I know you're very big on sustainability. Let me get you in touch with Bridgeway, because they're going to be able to help you implement the sustainability goals that you want to achieve. So that allows us to get very warm leads into our pipeline. And then we give the channel partner that made that introduction, we give them a commission on the total value of that particular client.
What about your capacity? I mean, if we provide 100 leads, will you be able to handle them? Like, how about that?
Again, another great question. So this is, what we're here for is an investment opportunity. And
Let's talk about that.
So let me take a step back for just a moment. Let me address one more very critical piece of information that I think is going to be mind-blowing for everybody. And then I absolutely, we need to get into the investment opportunity and what we're looking to do and how we can expand.
Okay, let's keep it warm. Absolutely, everyone is already. Yeah, tell us.
Even I'm
Tell us.
excited now.
So again, the reason why, knowing that we're a team of 6, is because so far we have achieved 78, almost 7,900 metric tons of carbon being reduced from our
Wow.
current client base. That's a huge number. We also have done 4.8 million gallons of water has been saved based on all of our solutions so far. So from a impact standpoint, we believe that's a phenomenal number, especially for such a small team of people that we're just getting ready to take off, if you will. And so for us, expansion is the key, right? How do we get to a point of getting 100 customers into the pipeline and closing 100 customers and deploying, the solutions and things of that nature? So what we're initially looking for here is a $20 million investment. So for us, what is that going to do? So to talk about that $20 million real quick, in return for that investment, we're looking at, we're committed to 30% equity at that rate. We also know that we can guarantee a minimum of 5% return on that investment. I always, as I've told you, in our solutions that we provided, we're very conservative. We never get into a situation where we overextend what we believe we can do. I'd rather tell you, hey, I can guarantee you a 5% return, and then come back and hit you, hey, it's actually 10.
I guess it will be double digit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I would immediately love you.
So that, from a opportunity standpoint, that's what we're looking at. Now, how do we put that 20 million to work? How do we create and expand this opportunity, not just here in the US, but globally? Well, I can tell you that about half of that cost is going to go into expansion. It's going to go into expanding our team, obviously, sales. We're looking to add to our sales team. We're looking for those facility engineers and project managers and things of that nature. We also have what we call our eco desk, and that's where we design all of our solutions. So we're going to be expanding the team so that we can have a much bigger impact. Another thing that we're going to be using that money for is research and development. There's constantly things that are new technologies that are coming up that we want to be a part of. We need that new technology. And so there's a premium on research and development and constantly being on top of new upcoming technologies. And by the way, everything that we do has been scientifically proven and case studies behind it to ensure that what we say these solutions can do will do. Obviously, we're going to be spending money on advertising and marketing. Those are big things. We want to have a much larger impact on social media. So we want to begin to address, LinkedIn and some of those types of things from a social media standpoint, and not just from a sales standpoint. There's several things that we have already teed up from as far as like education. We want to hold quarterly education calls where we just invite, as many people as we can reach and talk about what is the newest technology, what's the new thing when it comes to conservation and sustainability. Obviously, we have a proprietary software platform that is almost complete. This platform is amazing. It's been designed in-house, and it walks us from initial contact with our customers all the way through customer service, billing, et cetera, et cetera. So it walks us through the sales process. It walks us through the project management and the installation process. And then it walks us through billing and addressing customer service needs. Last but not least, we're looking at regular G&A costs such as rent, insurance, technology costs, payroll, those things of that nature. The remaining portion of that 20 million, and this is very, very critical for me. Now, this may change a little bit depending on our investment partner, but yes, we could use the entire $20 million and max out from an expansion standpoint. But I believe that it's very, very important to build a formidable balance sheet that puts us in a very, very strong position. Because as you said, as we grow, the need for financial partners will grow from a project financing standpoint. We want to be in the driver's seat. We want to be able to say, these are the terms that we're looking for, and not be pushed around, so to speak, from our financial partners. And so a portion of that $20 million is going to go into building our current asset base. So what does that mean? That means we're going to be funding some of our projects out of this initial $20 million because it gives us more assets on our balance sheet and puts us in a much stronger position.
I just wanted to ask that your focus has been very much looking at the businesses as a client, but have you also considered governments? Because the governments also have sometimes enormous budgets to clean up a part of the city or a part of the area. For example, energy reduction. In Netherlands, for example, now there are huge projects going on cutting down increasing the isolations of houses and things like that. There are huge government investments going on. Are you also prepared to participate in those?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're always looking at government projects, to be honest with you. We've looked at a couple so far, and we just weren't at a place that we are right now ready to take those on. But without a doubt, we know that niche is there for us as well. There's a particular law that's been passed, or a bill that's been passed here in the United States that addresses sustainability and has put aside a tremendous amount of dollars that go into projects that we do. So exactly. A part of this expansion is going to have a couple of individuals in business development that are going to be assigned specifically to getting us into that particular bill, and how do we get access to those funds so that we can add that to the coffers for future projects.
Exactly. I think we have so many questions to go, but we are running out of time, unfortunately.
But I think it was amazing overview already. So to summarize, call to action to all the investors, 20 million you put on the table, guaranteed 5% at least, right?
Yeah, and
of course, partners. Yes, partners around the globe. Whoever is inspired by Joe's story and what they're engaging in, please contact him directly. Where do they can contact you, by the way? What's the website? Or contact us, of course. Everyone is very welcome to contact us. We'll direct you to Josh.
So what's your website?
I'm sorry?
What's your website where people can contact you?
Yeah, so my contact information is up on the screen there. So I've put two different ways to contact me. My personal cell phone is up on the screen.
Whoa. Maybe also some ladies will call you up now. You never know.
So I've got my cell phone, my business cell phone that is available, so that you can call that at any time. I've got that on me. If I'm available at that moment in time, obviously I take that call. If I don't answer, please don't be offended. I'm tied up in on a conversation or on something else. Leave a voicemail, and I'll get back to you, or you can text that number. Secondly is my email address. So jcampbell@bridgewayteam.com. And then our website is bridgewayteam.com. So www.bridgewayteam.com.
Amazing. Josh, to round this up, could you please share a short call to action message to our global audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to be honest with you. 20 years ago, and I've talked about how we change as individuals. 20 years ago, I would have never imagined myself being involved in a project like this. Carbon footprint, saving the planet, those types of things. It wasn't even remotely close to what was on my mind. But here we are today. We're on the verge of creating, in my opinion, one of the biggest opportunities to reduce the carbon footprint nationally and globally, and do it in a way that really puts no pressure on the client to come up with the capital to do it. The solutions we provide, the savings, that they all go to paying for everything. So we have to keep in mind as a team here, if you will, that what we do today is not going to benefit us. We won't see the benefit of our efforts today. And we won't see the true impact that this is having on the planet. Truth be told, I think we'll be lucky to have our grandchildren begin to see the fruits of our labor. I really believe it's going to be generations down that will be able to go outside and see the sun and breathe clean air. And without our help collectively, not just Bridgeway, not with just any one provider, it's a collective effort. And without that help, our kids, they're not going to be able to go and play outside.
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to go outside and take a swim in the pool or go fish in the nearest lake. If we do nothing, none of that is going to be possible. However, if we all came together from a global perspective, and each person and each nation were to do their part, what kind of incredible impact that would have. And I'll end on this. Sadly, we know that most likely won't be what happens. And it normally falls to the few that are actually going to have that impact. It's only going to fall to us. And so I would encourage each of us, each person that hears this, each person that sees this, to use your sphere of influence, use your networks, use your resources, because us as a group, we have to collectively do more per person than we would normally have to do, because it's just us. There is a big part out there, a big audience that doesn't believe in what we're doing, and that's okay. They're still our brothers and they're still our sisters. But the fact remains that you cannot believe in gravity, but if you go step off a building, you're going to hit the floor. And that's the same principle and concept today is, regardless of your beliefs, we are headed towards disaster if we don't address this today and address it not just in our own countries, in our own nations, but we have to address it globally.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Josh. And I'm thrilled to also get you on our platform, Impact Community Chamomile. Please register and we will upgrade your membership. And on top of that, also to give you Impact Leader certificate, which you will receive from us as well. So thank you for joining us today. It was a great pleasure.
Even I don't have that certificate.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing us the time to share our story and share our passions globally. It really means a lot. We're excited about the possibilities, and we're looking forward to having the biggest impact that we can have.
I'll disappoint you, Josh. You're not going to get rid of us that easily. We are going to stick to you because you have such amazing project. We are going to stick to you.
You will need to implement what you say. So globally, right? So this
Right.
is the mission and what we would like to support.
And it's all
you in.
recorded now.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Thank you and enjoy your evening, day,
It's afternoon.
morning,
Morning.
afternoon, everything.
Thank you
Thank you for
guys so
joining
much.
us today.
Yeah,
Bye, Joy.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great one.
So that was amazing start of the season 5. I'm very inspired by George's story and what they're doing. Amazing. So what we wanted to share is also that on the 8th of June, we are going to give a free masterclass on fundraising. So check the information provided on impactinvestingschool.com or iasolutions.ch.
And
Come on up.
everybody is welcome to join that.
Absolutely.
And please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel again, youtube.com/SpaceImpact. Then you will be updated with all the most recent information, projects, and funds you can imagine.
And next week?
Next week, we have an amazing guest who leads WWF globally and is an expert on impact measurement.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we invite all the impactful businesses, investment funds to support our TV show or in any financial support, sponsorship, or other resources. And of course, anyone can apply and try to be a guest at our TV show. This is a challenge for you to start making impact in our world and join the impact community. You get more when you give back.
So always invest with impact.
Bye for now.
Bye. Hi, we hope you enjoyed this episode of TV show Swiss Impact with Banerjee.
Make sure you check out the next one and also find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify, podcasts, and any of your favorite social media places.
And please subscribe to our channel so you know when we release new episodes.
And also leave us some feedback to help us grow this awesome impact community and join it.
We look forward to sharing the next episodes with you, and until then, you get more when you give back.
So always invest with impact.